All right. Hello, everyone. I'm here just a couple minutes early, and I'll let my Discord room know. And so, obviously, CPI data just came out and was no bueno. So, uh, pretty good if you have puts, I guess. In terms of what to trade, I mean, I think for me, um, on days like today, where there's a big catalyst, the flow reads that I do are kind of all about setups and scenarios, and so potentially um, it's not anything I was bullish on obviously might not pan out. That's why I tend to have put triggers on stocks I'm looking at. Okay, so all right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on, and then I want to just take you through some of what I'm looking at for unusual whales and all that. I'm going to go to about 8:15 today, just to 8:15 Central. I have one more final exam to give, and then I will be done. So QQQ is kind of the ETF I tend to uh, deal with and look at the most. So I'm just going to take a look at that one. And sorry, my campus internet's a little slow. I guess our network's kind of busy. Here we go. Okay, so QQQ, you could see just a disaster after that CPI data. I haven't looked at the specifics of it. I just assume it came out worse than expected. So it happens. Okay, so in terms of what I was looking at, there's a couple things I wanted to take you through here. So this is the Discord room where that I run with 25 Bs. You see them here, and just the kind of our approach here. You are welcome to join. We have some spots available. We're gonna cap it at 100 because it's an education room and not an alert space. I do post alerts, and in fact, I had one yesterday on you and earnings position, and we can see here that you is destroyed. I didn't particularly feel like that was that hard to um, predict that might happen. I didn't hedge that position. It's just it's a company I like, and I think has a lot of potential. It's a metaverse stock, but it's just really the wrong environment for stocks like that don't have cash on hand that just put their money back um, into their business. And you can see this put is increasing in value by the second. Kind of excited about that. I'm always tempted on a day like this to um, not trade as much when you have a big win. I think that sometimes can be a good thing, or trade with a smaller position, because always the market it's gonna be there the next day, and you don't have to just max out and try to double your account every day. That you end up giving a lot back. But anyway, so back to our Discord room. It's a space where we really do a lot of collaboration. I am kind of I'm fully on the option flow side of things, and I've taken you through that before, and I'll do that again this morning. And so I notice things in the option flow. I notice strikes that the whales seem particularly interested in, and I might want to target those, based on the potential I see there, upside or downside. And I've also mentioned before that my technical analysis is uh, fairly rudimentary. I do work at it, and I study it, and I learn a lot, and I continue to, and I do tend to manage to get pretty good entries on a lot of positions. But when I'm looking for a setup for a sustained move, not a scalp where I'm just playing the an oversold spot on a chart, and looking for a bounce, looking for a particular candle reversal patterns or something like that. But when I want to see a really sustained move, I take that flow read and I check it against what Bees has going, which is um, RTL, respect the lines, is what it's called. And he basically is able to tell me how that option flow matches up to different levels that he sees in the stock, and through that, we're able to kind of come together and reach a plan for it. So just to give you an example of how how that comes about. All right. I just want to give you one that had kind of the full process here. Um, okay, so here's one, and by the way, I mean they don't all always pan out, and they're not necessarily ones that we just are going to enter right then when we see it match up. They just end up going kind of on our watch list. But so this one, GRPE, um, ethanol corn oil probably going to beat earnings Monday PM, 520 40C. GRPE 2916 to 3275 current channel. Definitely has range and hold 25 as well. And that one did end up panning out. And just because I saw the potential for a move to $40 in the summer doesn't mean that that's going to happen overnight or anything. But when you're trading, I mean, you're really just looking for that kind of sustained move that is going to give you a decent day trade, or potentially a swing. Obviously, it's not the best environment for swinging stocks, but so this is one of the spaces that we work in, where we just kind of work things out. So for example, like I mentioned, Piton is kind of interested in what's going to happen, with the current train wreck that it's in, and not really looking to catch a knife on it. And I assume it's probably down even more today. But let me get in here. Well, actually, I want to go to this page. Intraday, oops, yeah, intraday analyst. No, there. Okay, so Piton. Okay, so Piton, you can see there is a lot of bullish activity on it. This line here, in terms of what this means, I talked a little bit about COPE yesterday, and um, COPE, it refers to the cumulative options premium effect, and it's a measurement of um, a kind of the relationship between option premium flow, so like the demand for options, and the price of a stock. And these two lines, very much like when you see these with dark pools or algorithms, that the one line acts as kind of like a magnet to the other. That's sort of the thinking on it. So when you had this cope line here way below the price, that is kind of an indication that okay, this might decline further, and it did. But anyway, that is what that is. Okay, so here this is indicating a concentration of option buys when the stock's at a particular price. So and you can see pretty heavily bearish. Put to call ratio 1.61, and that's pretty extreme. So when I look at something like Piton, the way that I avoid catching a knife on it is I try to identify a spot where the whales seem to kind of be giving it a breather. It's probably not going to happen today with but you never know. The market maybe you'll surprise us. You never know what they will do with manipulation and all that good stuff. But anyway, so today's not the day for Piton, I don't think. But if I start to see this put to call ratio lessen a little bit, and I start to see sold puts at some particular level, and hoping you needs to give me the 20s. Come on, keep going. Oh, okay. So Piton. All right. On the second day of my live stream, I'm going over one of the worst stocks in the stock market. But this is kind of what I do. I mean, I like stocks that are in the dirt and have some potential for a bounce, even if it's just kind of a little relief bounce. And in fact, had that happen with Fubo, which I talked about in the live stream yesterday. So this is not yesterday; it's from a couple of days ago. But I said a lot of whales are buying 6C and 7C, and then we saw what Fubo did yesterday, and this is after several days of absolutely not days, weeks, months of just being completely destroyed. And so who's going to enter calls on a time like that? Not me, actually, but I did enter shares, Fubo and SoFi in particular, for reasons that are deal with bags in the past. I don't buy options on those. So even though the options are definitely playable, I just kind of prefer shares. I don't want to. I have a thesis on it. I don't really want to babysit it though. And again, so that read I saw yesterday, it talked about Fubo having a potential, at least in the mind of some whales, to get back into that 5-6 range in the fall. If you don't know what Fubo is, it is a streaming company, mostly deals with sports. And this has been a really inauspicious time for anyone who streams anything. You saw that with Netflix. Disney's been hurt by that. Roku, and Fubo, being a small cap, is really suffering for that. The company I think has a lot of potential. Market doesn't really care about that right now. It's just not a favorable sector to be in. But I didn't care yesterday. I mean, I didn't get the full 15%. I think I got 9% on it, but and then I'm out, and I'll come back to it later. But that's really what my collaborations with bees are all about, is just trying to find a spot. So okay, so that was from yesterday. But Piton is one that not saying it's going to do much today, although it is it is still up. Maybe one of the few green pre-market stocks. But okay, so what am I going to look for Well, this intraday analyst page is a great uh, starting point when you're looking at a particular stock. The options dashboard is great for assessing a whole sector. But if you just have one stock in mind, you kind of go here and you see, okay, so what's going on? And the most active chains, a lot of them are weeklies. They're almost all of them are the next 2 weeks. So so what's the deal here? Well, 10 is a level that stands out. 12, 11.50. These are sold puts, and you can see they're bullish, which means that more people or more whales are selling them than buying them. And in option flow, what you want is that um, a high concentration of large buyers and sellers, and that's who you're trying to follow. They're not always right, but the thinking is, and there's plenty of reason to believe this, is that um, big institutions and those with kind of the concentration of money are going to kind of know what's going on, and the reason for that is because they have access to power. I mean, they have access to knowledge, and they know things before the general public does, or at least have a higher inclination for that. So I mean, that's why you even follow whales, and that proximity to power, that really is what we're all about. And so I want those high concentration of whales turning bullish on something. And when a stock is devastated, what you're actually going to find is that the sold puts are often your first indication of a reversal. And once it starts to turn around and get some momentum, that's when the call buys really start flooding in. And you can see here, 513.20C, whales are selling this. So this is and you can see how much it costs. The ultimate long shot um, lotto, and these way out of the money ones, I do sometimes kind of just ignore. Although I don't this one, because the volume on it exceeds the the open interest. So that's something to look at. But again, the more intriguing ones for me, um, this 15C is a little bit less of a long shot. But again, I'm not quite so interested on the weekly time frame here, in terms of an uptrend. But I do want to see. Okay, so whales are going to sell puts, and they're going to try to find a kind of line in the sand on this. And so, is there some potential for that? Something that might concern me, though, is for next week. There is a lot of bearish volume on 10p. So doesn't concern me that much, because I'm not in it right now. But I'm just watching it, and my planning for stocks and for trading, it takes place every day, but for some stocks it takes place weeks in advance. And so I will go and kind of move through different sectors and stocks I like, and just kind of try to see a longer range outlook. In our room, we'll have a couple meetings per week, and with a group of voice sessions, and we'll break down what we're seeing and where we think certain stocks might go. And we have a list of stocks that we put out every week that we're looking at. And again, this is all about different scenarios and potential, and ones that don't do what we think they're going to do, or don't pan out. I mean, that happens, but we do just kind of try to concentrate our efforts. And so we identified lemonade, and this was a list we did over the weekend. And lemonade, in terms of what it did. Okay, so up 2.3% on the day, but it had this big spike on earnings and this big earnings beat, and then it it gave it back after that. So it really it was, I mean, something you could play as an options lotto. Of course, that's one way to play a move like this. There's of course shares as well. If if you're bullish on it, if you're really wanting to get kind of risky, you do this kind of algorithm dip before the earnings even come out, and then you can catch the spike on it, or wait for it to sell off. Maybe you don't want to trade after hours and hold overnight, and instead you will go for a pre-market trade. If if you're with a broker that doesn't allow pre-market trading, or at least full pre-market trading, I would maybe consider at getting a second account somewhere. And Webull is really good, I think. I do. I guess I have a code. I get a free stock or something, but I don't really care about that. But anyway, I think you want to have the option to trade in pre-market. There are opportunities there, and if you're an early riser, or or if you stay up late and just catch stay up until pre-market opens, then there are some chances there. There's some higher risk. I think though that even if you don't trade it, pre-market is very crucial to watch. Today's a bit of an extreme example of that. I think that you have a big catalyst um, like CPI, and it came out bad today, and so who knows what's going to happen. I mean, the indices could fall 4 or 5%. They kind of bottom out and maybe reverse a bit. You don't really know, but you definitely want to be aware of that. And even on a day when there's nothing going on, I think that you do want to monitor the pre-market, and sort of what you're seeing there. So I do, the way I organize my trading view page is and let me get this to kind of prefer a 3-minute chart. So the way I organize it is by sector. So I have different sectors, and I monitor all these stocks. And I mean, it's a huge list. And by monitor, I don't mean that like I'm going into every single one, but there are some that really do stand out to me, and I keep an eye on. I have the indices here. I have a YouTube video about ETFs that you can see on my page, where I talk about these and what they do. I trade QQQ a lot. I don't trade SPY that much. I know a lot of people do. Very important to keep track of that one. Soxel is a semiconductor ETF. Okay, so anyway, then I go into different sectors. Basic materials. It's really one of my favorite sectors to trade, and I have done very well in here. And you can go back on my Twitter feed and look up LAC or X, and some of the things that I've done there. And it's a sector that lately, I'm kind of a bullish trader, and so I like to catch the uptrend on things. So in the past, in January, while tech was a disaster, a lot of basic material stocks really started to take off. Gold in particular is something that I was into, both the subsector and the specific ticker for gold. This one, Barrick Gold Corporation, is particularly good for options. And so gold, it kind of had this double bottom here, and I had been on this since December, watching for a reversal because of things I saw in the leap buying by whales, and then the rest is history. Caught this big move. I had some shares through most of this, and traded some options too. But now you can see that the sector is really really selling off, and we're in a time right now where we have kind of a broader market sell off happening. So if you're a bullish trader like me, one thing I've done lately is over the past several months or so is to have some put triggers on stocks, and I don't always set out to target to play puts. I kind of play puts while I'm waiting for stocks to turn around because I might as well make some money while it's happening. So I will scalp some puts on things. But okay, so basic materials. What was the outlook last night? Yesterday in the live stream, in the period of time that was muted, you would have seen me on my screen going over AA, and AA did have a nice day yesterday. I assume, and this is an aluminum stock, I assume that it's not good right now. And well, okay, not a complete disaster. Yeah. So, and again, on a day like today, what you see in option flow, and so I'm not even gonna go through all of the scenarios from the flow that I saw because it's also CPI dependent. I will talk about a few, and so I think it's a day where the intraday activity is going to be a little bit more significant, and we'll get this 10, 11. Okay. So when you have your filters all set up here, and you see the different buys coming in, and you go through and look, we can see it close a lot of buyers on Oxy. Oxy had earnings, and they reacted to things. Yeah, so they're kind of flat off earnings. Not a great earnings play for options the night before, but potentially will be as as the market opens, kind of depending on what oil wants to do. Oil does sometimes run inverse tech, and here you go. So me personally, I'll probably just trade oil today, or look for some downside potential to a few things. But oil is something that that I trade a lot. Other than basic materials, it's probably my favorite sector to trade. I've been in them for a long time. And okay, so oil stocks, I already mentioned Oxy, and we've got Devon. There's, I think, an opportunity here because when that initial CPI data came out, everything sold off. But oil has a lot of potential, a lot of bullish flow to it. So you're better off if you want to play calls for it to open around here than to just go parabolic and leave you with an RSI, all the way up here. So I think there's some potential for oil. If it does, we've still got 23 minutes. If it does just really spike the rest of pre-market, I'll probably look for some kind of flush or profit taking before I try to jump into anything. You can also just, there's no hurry. You can just wait for the market to kind of settle down, figure out where it wants to go, and go from there. The sorry, my light light always goes off while I'm doing this. But the particular notes I had for oil, and I will go through that because it does seem like they have some potential today. The particular notes I had for oil were oops, prof notes. All right, so I said Oxy had strong earnings. Oil stocks don't usually react like tech after hours in earnings, so it's worth watching at open, and that has been the case thus far. Oil futures are up for now. That continued; they've gone up more since then. And I said watch rig, Dino, Tel, SWN, and SD. These are some mid and small caps, and so one of the ways I like to trade is to have some shares and some options and positions that I'm in. If you're just scalping options, stocks like Oxy and Zom and MRO, Devon, they tend to work really well for that. There's decent volume on them. You're not dealing with a big dramatic bid ask spread or anything. Okay, so let's see how I did with saying to keep an eye on these rig and so on. And there you can see oil is continuing. All right, so there's rig. Kind of an interesting pre-market range. SD is one I play a lot. Not a lot of volume, not much going on in pre-market on that one. Tel is down, and SWN is okay. So this one looks good. This could go pretty far. And then one I've been on recently, have you ever seen the Sinclair gas stations with the Brontosaurus and all that? So again, I've been in this one since yesterday, and it's done pretty well. I didn't catch the bottom on it. I basically forgot to play it, but I did keep some, and thought I'd risk it overnight just because of the sector. I didn't see a scenario where oil was just going to plummet based on anything CPI said. So educated guess on that one. Okay, so for me, in some people really like to trade the extreme volatility of market carnage that we're apparently going to be looking at today, and they'll start tossing money at Tesla weeklies or something. I sometimes will do that, but I kind of look for what I see as the most stable sector. If there's nothing that's a stable sector, I will just look to play the downside on some stuff. I'm fine with doing that, and I've started to do that more. I mean, I think that you have to adapt as a trader to the market because it's not going to adapt to you. And I went through months and months trading options before I ever even bought a single put. I just never, I couldn't. The flow reads and the chart and it just didn't quite click with me. And eventually it did, and it did because I studied. And that I think is the biggest lesson I can impart upon you is to find your style and to put the work in and to study. And whether you end up, if you're already in my Discord room, thank you. It means a lot to me that you're there. I love that space. I love working in there and everything that we're building. If you're just watching this because you subscribe to YouTube and want to consider a spot in in the Discord room, I'm happy to talk to you about it. And there's an invite link in my bio. So again, no pressure there. These live streams I'm just going to do every day. They'll give you a good sense of what I'm looking at. If you want that kind of more hands-on specialized education, that's what the room's for. So I will close today just by wishing you all luck. Congrats to anyone who had puts on almost anything overnight. If you want to enter things at open, just don't chase. Be careful. Find a good entry. Have a very profitable day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you.